and he said, "Hey man, your liver is shutting down, your kidneys are shutting down, you're in the middle of pancreatitis, you're bleeding internally. If you ever drink again, you are going to lose your life." I made a promise to God that if I could have a second chance at life, that I would do everything in my power to try to help other people not to have to go through what I've been through. That's why I'm here, is I'm following up on that promise that I made to God. On May 16th of 2022, I've not had a drop since that day.
This is Hard Knocks Talks.
What's up, LD? How are you?
What's going on, Dan? How you doing today?
I'm doing well. It wasn't even that long ago that we met, and now here we are. Some of your content was recommending some of my content, and I looked at some of your stuff and I checked it out. And man, you're blowing up, man. Like honestly, congratulations on your growth, and thank you for your vulnerability in talking about what it's like, living with liver disease and talking about how you ended up where you are. So, and that's why I wanted to bring you on today. Why don't you tell us how this all got started for you?
I specifically remember being a really young kid, and my parents were outside one day doing yard work, and there was a bottle of wine that they had sitting on the kitchen counter. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
never forget picking up that bottle of wine and pouring myself a glass. I was looking at my parents through the window to make sure they didn't come inside and catch me. And I got some cheese out of the out of the refrigerator and decided I was going to have some wine and cheese.
Oh
And
my.
I remember specifically drinking the wine, eating the cheese, and I thought that I was so sophisticated. And that was basically the start of it. And I do remember trying beer at a very young age and enjoying it. I knew right then that I wanted to feel like that for the rest of my life. But getting later on in life, I started working at a very young age. I started working at like 14 years old and started working full time at 15, 16 years old. Uh, I was kicked out of my house,
Hmm.
and I had to work full time. I started drinking all the time, and I had a friend of mine who was old enough to buy alcohol. So my apartment became the party house, and all of my teenage friends would come over and hang out. My drinking just started getting out of control, and come 21 years old, it really started ramping up, and I was just socially awkward. And
Hmm.
when I would drink, it brought those walls down for me and allowed me to become this individual that I thought that I wanted to be. I
Hmm.
became the crazy guy, the loud guy, the one that everybody wanted to party with. I got married very young and tried to do what I thought what I was supposed to do, get married, buy a house, and have a full-time job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's something that I hear quite often, to be honest. It's about, like if I have the house, if I have the car, if I have the wife, if I have the job, then maybe my drinking's not a problem.
It's exactly what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, were you able to hold life down, like right until the time that you quit?
So that's the funny thing about it, man. I was a very high functioning alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I went to work every day, never called off, never once.
Hmm.
It didn't matter how hungover I was, and I'm gonna tell you, man, there were days when I went to work and I literally felt like I was about to go. I was so motivated by the alcohol that I don't I could get through anything, because I always knew at the end of the day there was a drink waiting on me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it was always this like surprise at the end of the day that I knew if I could just make it through the day, that when I was done, that me and the bottle could hang out again, and
You,
that was always my motivator. On my 30th birthday, my brother bought me a bottle of tequila,
mm,
and I never really drank liquor. I actually was a lightweight. Going through my 20s. It didn't take me a whole lot to get drunk. I started drinking the tequila and I went, oh, wow, I don't have to drink all this stuff. I can get drunk in minutes if I drink liquor. And it switched.
Mm.
And I was in the food industry my whole entire life, and I was working for a corporate restaurant chain during this period of time, and I had won this contest, and they gave me a free case of tequila like a week after I turned 30. And I was supposed to take this case of tequila back to my restaurant, but I left it in the back of my Jeep. And
Mm.
one night I was in my garage hanging out with a bunch of buddies. We were drinking beer, and I said, "Oh, I've got this tequila back here." So I went and got a bottle out, cracked the top of it, and started drinking tequila straight out of the bottle.
Mm.
And that case of liquor, there was I think like 12 bottles in there. I drank that case of tequila in like 2 weeks or something. And I drank tequila for a couple years, and I would, drink it on the rocks. I was making margaritas and all this kind of stuff. And then I got tired of the tequila, and then I went into drinking vodka. It started off with I was drinking, a pint of vodka a day. That led into drinking maybe, a 750 of vodka a day. I would say for at least 12 years, I was drinking a half a gallon of vodka every 2 days to 3 days. If not, I so there were days where I would drink a whole half gallon of vodka in a day. I did not
Mm.
drink water. I didn't drink soda. I didn't drink coffee. My beverages that I drank was vodka, beer, and I drank Fireball shots. I would get those little shooter bottles and carry them around with me everywhere I went. If I was thirsty, I drank beer. And like I said, that 12-year span at the end of my drinking was just, I mean,
Mm.
I was literally laying in my bed on my days off, drinking straight from the bottle. From a half-gallon bottle, I would lay in the bed and turn it up, and my hands would be shaking so bad I could barely even hold it. I'd be spilling vodka all over myself, and I mean, it got horrible towards
Yeah.
the end of my drinking. And my wife would just come home and find me passed out. Uh, I was always asleep when she got home in the afternoons.
Mm.
On my days off, on the work days, I worked, 12, 16, 18-hour days. So I was gone all day long, and I would get home late at night, and my wife would usually already be either getting in the bed or in the bed. So she didn't really see a lot of what was going on. All she knew is that I would be intoxicated. And yes, my wife was not happy with the situation at all.
Mm.
My family, mom, dad, brother, all of them tried talking to me, and it didn't work. It was always,
Mm.
I don't have a problem and I can fix it myself. It's always this idea that I can address it,
Mm.
and of course, that didn't ever work out. I started waking up in the morning and would throw up. That became a daily occurrence. I'd wake up really hungover in the morning, and I would be really nauseous. Because another thing too is I never ate. Never. Because who wants to drink with a belly full of food? I always wanted to have an empty stomach when I drank.
Mm.
So, I would go all day without eating and then drink super heavy at night and drink during the day. And then I would eat like in the middle of the night, I would get up and eat something. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel horrible. So I would just go and throw up. And that became a daily thing for me. I woke up every morning and threw up. And I just thought, this is just normal because I've been drinking like this. But then I started noticing I could feel that my blood pressure was super elevated. And I smoked during this period of time too. I always had a headache. So I would take Advil, like I ate Advil like candy. I was taking 10 to 12 Advil a day. I was eating Tums throughout the day. Like I would go through a whole bottle of Tums in a week.
Mm.
I had acid indigestion constantly. I tried everything, Pepsid AC, Tums, all this stuff, but and it's like I'm trying all these medications and I'm still, like I would like have the hiccups or something and like acid would come up and I would spit up acid. And I started thinking to myself, like, this isn't right. I started to develop gout. I just felt horrible all the time. And now since I've been diagnosed with diabetes, looking back, I've had diabetes for years, and my blood sugar would be out of whack, either it'd be super high or super low. And one of the things I didn't realize too is that alcohol actually lowers your blood sugar. So I
Mm,
would wake up in the mornings with a super high blood sugar. I would feel horrible, and then I would start drinking, and I'd start feeling better because it was
mm,
bringing my blood sugar down. I was having pain in my liver. Uh, I had this constant dull feeling underneath of my right rib cage. And if I lay down in the bed, I could push down on my liver and I could feel that it was distended. If I laid down and let everything lay flat, I could feel around, and the left side of my stomach was soft, but when I got onto the right side of my stomach, it was hard as rock. I could feel my liver all day long. I could just feel it there, and I knew something was wrong. But I didn't want to go to the doctor because I knew that if I did, they were going to say, you have to stop drinking. And I didn't want to hear that.
mm,
So I just turned a blind eye to it for years and just said, I'll stop drinking tomorrow. It was always this idea of tomorrow I'm going to stop.
mm.
I'm just going to drink today. Tomorrow's going to be a new day. I'll stop tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow never came.
What was it that finally got you to the doctor?
I went to the hospital on May 16th of 2022, but 4 days before that, I woke up one morning like any other day. I actually came down in this room I'm sitting in right now. I came down here and you know, I get up early every morning. I usually get up at like 5, 6 a.m.
Mm,
So I'm up before everybody else. So I come down to this room so I don't bother anybody, wake anybody up. I come down here and I walked out this side door down here to throw up, and like every other day, and I threw up, and I thought, okay, no big deal. I throw up every morning, and I made myself a drink as normal, and I tried to drink it, and I just could not get it down. And a little bit later, I threw up again, and I kept throwing up that morning. I just couldn't stop, and going into that morning a little bit later, I started throwing up, like it looked like coffee grinds. It was like black and like these coffee grinds on the toilet. And I had been drinking Coca-Cola that morning, thinking that it would settle my stomach. So when I throw up that black stuff, I'm thinking it's just the soda. And that went on. I didn't go to the hospital for 4 days, and I kept throwing up this black stuff, and it had a very, very odd smell. I've talked about this before. I cannot put my finger on what it smelled like, but I'll never forget that smell.
mm,
On the last day when I was here, my wife had left to go to work that morning, and she knew I didn't feel well, so she had, put a bunch of drinks beside the bed for me. She put a trash can beside the bed for me with a trash bag in it in case I needed to throw up. And she said, I'm going to work. I've given you all these drinks. Let me know how you're feeling throughout the day. And, all day long, I'm telling her, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Meanwhile, I'd gotten to the point where I was so weak, I couldn't even get out of the bed anymore. And when my wife came home and found me, the whole entire room was covered in vomit. And when she walked in, the look on her face, she was just like, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're going to the hospital right now. And
mm,
she called my mother. My mother is a nurse, and she called my mom and said, he's very sick. Like, we need to get him to the hospital right now. And my mom came over here, picked me up, and took me to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I went to the emergency room, and they got me to the back. And I'll never forget the doctor walking in the room. And, they did the x-rays and all this stuff, and were taking blood. And the doctor walked in the room not much longer after that, and he just had this look on his face of almost like a defeated look. And I said, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And he said, "Hey, man, you have a lot of stuff wrong with you. And I don't know if we're going to be able to save your life. We're going to try our best. But your liver is shutting down. Your kidneys are shutting down. You're in the middle of pancreatitis. Um, you're bleeding internally. And of course, they asked me, "Is it okay if we give you a blood transfusion?" I said, "Of course." They asked me, "What is your drinking like and all that kind of stuff?" And I told them, I drink all the time. At that point, there wasn't any more hiding it, and I knew I needed to be honest with the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them I'm an alcoholic. I drink half a gallon of vodka every other day, and they basically told me while I was in the hospital that time, they said, if you ever drink again, you are going to lose your life. May 16th of 2022, I've not had a drop since that day.
Let's take a break and hear from today's sponsors, and then we'll jump into some recovery talk. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right.
The Advancing Interprofessional Management of Substance Use Disorders in Saskatchewan program, or AIMS-SK, is offered through the College of Medicine at the University of Saskatchewan and is designed to deepen healthcare professionals' understanding of substance use to improve health outcomes for individuals with substance use disorders. This program consists of 3 modules, including the foundations of harm reduction in substance use disorder, opioid use disorder, and alcohol use disorder. If you are a healthcare professional in Saskatchewan and wish to reduce stigma and better serve those with substance use disorder, look for the AIMS-SK link in the description below.
Okay, EHN Canada is Canada's leading provider of mental health and addiction services, providing evidence-based, medically assisted care with 1-year wraparound services for those suffering from substance use disorder. Métis Nation Saskatchewan has announced its path for the pursuit of self-government. As an MNS citizen, I am proud to see my government fight to protect my rights. This is our moment. To learn more about the treaty and our path to self-government, go to ourmoment.ca. Pine Lodge, the treatment center I went to 7 years ago when I got sober, offers inpatient addictions treatment and aftercare programming in Regina, Saskatchewan. To inquire about services or make a donation, call 306-510-1891. Wellness News, Choice for Healthy Living, is a local resource that works to connect people to health and wellness-related products, services, and expert advice from industry professionals, locally allowing us to connect and engage. Check out wellnessnews.ca or skwellnesshub.ca today to learn more. To make contact or to learn more about today's sponsors, to check out our merch, or if you want to show us some love and buy us a coffee, all of those links are also in the show notes below. Okay. So, so this must have been terrifying. If this was the moment where you made that decision, okay, I'm done drinking, I'm going to die. What did that first year look like to you? Did you go to meetings? Did you find other people that weren't drinking? Did you go to a counselor? Like tell us what that first year looked like, because it sounds to me like this was only the beginning of your health problems. That must have been terrifying to face sober.
So it was. I was, like I said, I was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks that first time, and
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the hospital and started seeing specialists. I had to go see a pancreatic specialist because I had never been to a doctor really before. I had
Mm-hmm.
gone here and there over the years. If I had like bronchitis or something like that, let's say, but I I hadn't even had a physical since I had been like 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And now here it is. I'm going to see a doctor a couple times a week at this point in the beginning. I've got 3 children and a wife, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was scared straight. I mean, it really did scare me straight, and I said, that's it. So 2 years before I got sick, I had started my own business. I had gotten out of F&B, started my own business, was very successful in it. And then when I stopped drinking, my business skyrocketed,
Mm-hmm.
because I was actually able to show up and be present every single day. I didn't feel hungover every day. My business was really just picking up because I was there for it. And I was so excited about my life. They at this point I didn't know I had liver disease.
Mm-hmm.
They told me that my liver was okay when I left the hospital the first time. They said, it's a miracle that your liver looks as good as it does, because it was shutting down during that period of time, but they didn't say I had cirrhosis. There wasn't a whole lot of education for me after I got out of the hospital. It's more or less, them just checking me out after that. And then September of 2022, I was on a job site and I had called my daughter and asked her to come help me. So my daughter showed up to the job to help me out, and she wasn't there for 30 minutes. And I said, something's wrong. I don't feel right. I need to go home. So I left the job, came back home, and started running a fever. Uh, I felt like I had the flu, to be honest with you. And then I started getting a really bad stomach ache. I started getting that really bad pain in my back. I knew right then that I'm having problems with my pancreas again. So I went to a doctor, and I was throwing up, and the doctor said, "I think you just have a stomach bug, but let's just take a little bit of blood and see what's going on with you." And when he took my blood sugar was like almost 500. So he
Mm.
said, You need to go to the emergency room." I go to the emergency room. I'm there for 5 minutes. They've already determined I'm in the middle of pancreatitis again. That night, they admitted me to the hospital, and as soon as I got admitted to the room, I told the nurse, "Can you give me something to throw up in?" She handed me one of those little bags, and when I threw up pure red blood into this bag, 500 cc's of blood. So
Mm.
I'm bleeding internally again. They send me to the ICU. I go into ICU, and the next day they come in the room and they said, "Hey, look, we can't take care of you here. You've got way too much wrong with you. We've got to send you to a hospital that can actually take care of you." I got transferred to another hospital up in Columbia, South Carolina. And then they told me that I had cirrhosis while I was in the hospital there. I turned yellow or orange. My eyes were yellow. My urine was like dark, dark, dark brown. I mean, like you could not, it's like the color of my hat. The hospitalist came in the room and my wife was there sitting right beside me. And when she came in, she sat down and she said, "We're going to go ahead and let you go home." And I was really taken back because I figured I was going to be there for longer. And I said, "I get to go home today?" And she said, "Yeah, you need to go ahead and go home and spend time with your family." And that's when she dropped the bomb on me and she said, "I don't think you're going to be alive for the holiday season next year. If you make it a year, you're going to be lucky." It was probably one of the worst moments of my life. Not only was I incredibly sick, I was right there on death's door, and now they're telling me, you might have a year left to live, and then they send me home. And
Mm. Did you turn to God through any of this? Were you mad at God? Like, what was your thoughts around your spirituality when when your imminent demise was presented to you?
so growing up my whole life, I grew up in the church. Um, my parents, took us to church every Sunday. We went to church on Wednesday. I went to youth group. I was at church a couple times a week growing up. And
Mm.
getting into my adult years, I kind of, just kind of pulled away from that. I just wasn't that religious up until I got sick. And you know the saying that there's no atheists in foxholes. Um, I
Hmm.
gotta say, that's one of the first things as I laid there was praying to God and asking Him to please help me out. And it was the whole you know please save me. I know I messed up and I've done this to myself, but please give me a second chance at life. I want to be here for my children. I want to be here for my family. And it's one of those things to where um, I made a promise to God that if I could have a second chance at life, that I would do everything in my power to try to help other people, not to have to go through what I've been through. And that's why I'm here, is following up on that promise that I made to God
Mm.
while I lay there in the hospital. The night before they told me that I had a year left to live, uh, I had refused the pain medication that they were giving me IV Dilaudid, which is a
Mm.
very, very powerful painkiller. And I started to hallucinate when I was laying there that night. And it's what I thought were hallucinations. Were they hallucinations? I don't know.
Mm.
But there some things happened that night that I really don't want to get into just because it's kind of private, but I saw some things that night that really made me question reality. It really made me go, I really do believe God is real. I saw someone that's no longer here. Someone came and spoke to me, and it changed my life, and it absolutely did bring me peace, realizing that this is not it. That there's more to this life. There's something on the other side, and that what we do in this life absolutely reflects onto the other side. And it made me realize that I have to be a better person
Hmm.
because I wasn't a good person for a very long time.
What did that conversation sound like when, you have a year left to live? It's a direct result of your alcoholism. Now you're sitting with your wife. Like, what does that sound like? How do you heal from that?
When the doctor first told us that, both of us just started crying. Um, and then the doctor got up and left the room, and the two of us held each other and, hugged each other and cried for I don't even know how long. Um, that was just a really hard time.
Hmm. Was she
There's
angry?
just so much loss. She was. And, my wife asked me for a long time to stop, and I never did because I was so selfish. And, uh, she was upset with me, but I think more than anything, it was like, uh, realizing this was probably about this is going to be it, and we lost so much time together. I lost so much time with my children. The thing is now the relationship that I have with my wife and my children is completely different. Uh, we I have a relationship with my kids that I never had before. Um, a relationship with my wife that I never had before.
Hmm.
I'm absolutely present with them now, and the little things. I used to get really upset about stuff. Any little thing that would happen, if something went wrong, something broke, whatever it was, I would get upset. I would freak out, and now I realize that none of that stuff matters. It just doesn't. It's spending time with our family and all these material possessions, all that stuff. It doesn't mean anything. So my kids still don't know uh, how sick I really am.
Hmm.
They don't know. My daughter does because my daughter's gonna is coming up on being 21 years old, and I've talked to her about it and explained everything to her. My two boys, I have a 14-year-old. My oldest son just turned 14, and then I have a 10-year-old son, and I've yet to explain to them how sick their dad is. Now they know their dad's really ill because, of course they've come and seen me. I've spent almost 3 months in the hospital since all this started. So there's been, uh, you know, I don't know how many surgeries I've had at this point, but it's somewhere around 20. So there's
Hmm.
been a lot of them coming to visit me in the hospital and stuff like that, and seeing their dad very sick. My wife and I decided from the first day that they're just not quite ready to hear that news yet. So I feel like every day that I wake up is it's a gift. Every day is a gift because I shouldn't be here right now. And every day that I wake up in the morning, from the moment that I open my eyes, it's like, it's the first thing I do is I thank God for another opportunity, another day. And I do feel like I'm living on borrowed time. Uh, do I feel like I have this as far as sobriety? Um, Yes, I do. Do I think they'll ever relapse again? I don't, but I can't say that for certain.
Mm,
I don't think any of us are completely ever safe. Um, it's a constant every day having to stay on top of it. And one of the things is doing my YouTube channel. I make videos every single day. Um, and I talk about sobriety, and I try to help other people, and I've made it my life mission now, to try to help as many people as I can, to keep them from having to go through all the health consequences that I have, um, and try to help people realize that alcohol is a very dangerous drug, and it causes a lot of problems. And I mean, that's basically it, man. I mean, every day is a new day. Every day I have stress and anxiety like anybody else does, and I still have cravings. I still think about alcohol.
mhm,
Do I think about it as often as I did in the beginning? No. But when stressful events happen, or one of my kids is sick or something like that, like last week, we had to take my youngest son to the hospital. That day, when we were driving to the hospital, the first thing that popped in my head was I could have a drink and all this would go away. And so yeah, I still think about alcohol, and it's just doing the videos every day. They help me. They help
yeah.
me stay sober. Especially all the people that I speak to, and I talk to so many people that are in different, places in their sobriety, and people that have relapsed. And every time I speak to these people and I see what they're going through, it's a constant daily reminder of why I don't want to go back to that life ever again.
Mm. Maybe it's why you've been given this extra time. Carry that message.
I I've spoken about this before many times on my channel, but I absolutely believe that God gave me a second opportunity because this was what He wanted me to do. And I feel like, and I know people say stuff like this all the time, but I promise you, I think that my life led me here for this reason. All the
Mhm.
things that I've been through in my lifetime led me to this place in my life for this reason. I don't think that I would be able to connect with people the way that I can. I don't think my story would be as captivating to people if I didn't have all the stuff that happened to me. Um, yeah, it's just my whole life led me here, and now this is what my life is.
Mhm.
My whole life, I never quite, I never felt like I was in the right place. I never, when I was a chef and all that stuff, I was good at it, but it just didn't feel like that was my calling in life. But I actually really feel like this is my calling. This is why I'm here, is to speak to people about addiction and to
Mm.
try to help people. Every single day, I'm going to continue to make videos until I can't.
If you look at my YouTube channel at the banner art, it says lived experience is an education second to none. And I feel like you're living proof of that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's a great quote.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
It's one of our
it,
slogans.
t-
I've
it
used it since the beginning.
it takes going through those things, to be able to teach other people.
Hmm.
And I think that more than anything, I feel like it would be a waste of my life if I didn't share my story with as many people as I can.
I'm going to put these links in the description in the show notes, but why don't you tell us where people can find you?
You can find me on YouTube, if you just type in liver disease in the search bar. My you just go scroll down. If you type in channel, liver disease channel, it'll pop right up, and you'll be able to find me right there. And then if you go to my page, if you any of the descriptions and the videos will send you to the links to my social media accounts and all that good stuff.
Mm.
And if you want to contact me, you can contact me through Instagram or Facebook or anything. And I actually do return my messages to people if anybody messages me.
Yeah, yeah. Instagram. I had the most luck with you on Instagram. I messaged you and I gave you a shotgun blast. I emailed you. I emailed some
Yep.
other email that I found in your description. I emailed everyone.
Yep.
So, anyways, so say there's someone out there who is struggling where you once were today, not knowing where to turn, not knowing what to think. What would you like to leave us with today?
You can change your life. It's possible. And the life on the other side of addiction is waiting there for you right now. The best version of yourself is waiting on you. You have to make that first step, but at the end of the day, you have to want it for yourself. Um, but it's feasible, and if I can do it, anybody can quit. You can change your life, and you can be present. You can be there for your wife, your kids, your family, whatever it is, your job. I mean, what you can become after you remove that substance is it's unbelievable. Being sober is it's the best life I've ever had, and I can't believe I waited this long to get to where I am now.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to share your experiences on our platform, man. It was a powerful experience sitting with you and walking with
Absolutely.
you through your journey. And I personally want to thank you for being so vulnerable and really painting a vivid picture of what it looked like then
Absolutely.
and how beautiful it looks now.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to come onto your podcast. I really do appreciate it. And, more than anything, I appreciate what you're doing and
Mm.
trying to help other people as well. I really, really do appreciate what you're doing.
And thank you. Take care, my friend.
You take care as well.
Okay, if you got something out of that, please hit that like button at the bottom of the screen. If you're not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know if something resonated with you. I want to hear it. If something you didn't agree with, I want to hear it. I want to hear your experiences. I am all about fostering productive conversations about substance use, and I can't do it alone. So leave me a comment. Thanks so much. Take care.
Say, this is Hard Knocks Talks.